Hey everybody, Doug here. We got a little bit of a different video than what you're used to seeing here on the channel. Not necessarily directly Pennsylvania Dutch related. However, I think we can draw some parallels. I have recently been contacted by the people that run the Philly Bierfest, which is hosted by the German Society of Pennsylvania. And I've been really excited to be part of this. They said, Doug, you got to come down, and we'd love to have you come shoot some footage down here and enjoy the festival. And I do enjoy beer. I think many of the people that are on the channel probably have heard me talk about that before. So without further ado, I have a very special guest that's going to tell us all about this beer fest, that if you too would like to join us later this month, you find out a little bit more about what's everything's going on and what it's going to be like and all these good things. So without further ado, let me welcome Marnie Old. Marnie, hello and welcome to the channel.
Well, I'm thrilled you were able to have us on, Doug.
So tell us about this Philly Beer Fest, because I'm sure I have a lot of the viewers of the channel are from the southeastern Pennsylvania region, but there are people from outside that region too. So go ahead, take it away, Marnie.
Well, it's funny. If you have viewers who are in the southeastern PA region, they may already know my name and associate me more with wine than beer, because I was a fine dining sommelier in downtown Philadelphia for years. Then I kind of have moved to the national level. Now I teach and talk and write and speak about wine around the world, but also I have a weekly column in the Thursday food section of the Philadelphia Inquirer. If you've been following that wine education for the last 10 years, that's been me that you've been reading. So people think of me as a wine expert, but what they might not realize is that wine and beer have so much in common. They're far more alike than they are different. And that's actually what led me to write a book years ago called He Said Beer, She Said Wine, with a friend of mine, Sam Calagione, who owns Dogfish Head Craft Brewery in Delaware. And that got me really involved in the beer scene. At the time, I was also separately working with the German Society of Pennsylvania, which has just an incredible 19th century mansion at the corner of 7th and Spring Garden, this incredible campus that is part of their private club, and very few people get to see inside. As you know, cultural organizations have to struggle to stay relevant these days. And so I was teaching German wine classes for them. I was teaching German beer classes for them, because even though I have no drop of German blood in my cultural background at all, English, Irish, Icelandic, that's me. I love, like literally, when it's on my own time and my own dime, the wine that I'm buying is from Germany and the beer that I'm buying is from Germany too, because I just think they do the best in both categories. So when the German Society invited me to join their board and to help brainstorm activities that they could use to reach out to the community in Philadelphia, to get a younger audience to see the amazing things that they do at the German Society, we came up with this concept called Bierfest. And of course, it's spelled the German way, Bierfest, all one word. And if it's not happening at the German Society of PA, there's a lot of people who are marketing beer fests, and some of them have the word Philly in the name. But if it's not at the German Society, it's not the real deal, because what this event was concepted for in the first place was to help Pennsylvanians recognize something that in my kind of national level beverage work, it became very clear to me that other parts of the country do not do German style beer very well. In fact, Pennsylvania is and has been since the very beginning the producer of the very best lager and German style beers in the country, but nobody here even knows that that should be a point of pride for our region. So we came up with this crazy idea, and it connected three nonprofits that I was working with at the time, one being the German Society of Pennsylvania, which is the building where we host the event. But we also tied into the Brewers of Pennsylvania, which was a fledgling organization at that time. They are a lobbying group, really arguing in Harrisburg for changes to the liquor law in Pennsylvania that make things better for brewers and for beer drinkers in PA. And in addition to the Brewers of PA and the German Society of PA, I also happen to be working with Philly Roller Derby, which is its own nonprofit. And somehow we hooked this all up together in one unholy mess. And the three groups are the joint charity beneficiaries of this incredible event that we call Bierfest. What we do is we showcase specifically Pennsylvania beers, but only made in a German style. No stout, no IPA. This is like an Abbey beer free zone. You know, you can only taste things like Weitzens and Bocks, Pilsners and Kolsch's. We have every flavor of German beer being brewed by Pennsylvania brewers in one building. And then if you cross the courtyard and go into the other building, you're going to find German importers showcasing beers from Germany. And you know what? If they decide they want to make an IPA over there, I let them bring it in, because if it's brewed in Germany, it qualifies for Bierfest. So we just have this incredible array of German inspired beers. And for those of us who, you know, for years it felt like everyone was focused on these big, heavy, sweet lagers, big, heavy, sweet ales that just are hard to drink. Like for me, it's hard for me to get through the first half of the glass, let alone get to the bottom, unless I'm drinking something that is lower in alcohol, more crisp, more refreshing, and frankly, healthier for you too, which is the German way. And so everything about this event is built around promoting Pennsylvania's German brewing heritage. And along the way, we've brought in all sorts of just wild madcap entertainment. On the Pennsylvania stage, we have live bluegrass, we have sort of folk punk music. We also have roller derby arm wrestling, and we've been known to have, an Elvis impersonator show up every now and then. And then in the other building, we have just something wildly different. The German cabaret stage in the imported beer hall is just wild ideas that spring from Germany. So we have not just Bavarian Schuhplattler dancers, but we also have a Oompa band that plays old funk tunes from the 70s with a tuba on bass, or, cartoon theme songs from the Saturday morning cartoons of the 80s. It's just a riot. They're called Polkadelphia. And if you haven't heard them play, you really should come to Bierfest and check them out. But that's not the most anticipated show of the German Beer Hall. That would actually be what we call Berlin-style beerlesque, which is actually a burlesque show happening in the middle of a beer festival. It is so nuts. We have Pennsylvania cheeses. We call it the PA Cheese Cave in the Ratskeller is taken over by the Pennsylvania Cheese Guild, and we have people making Pennsylvania kombucha and cider and all sorts of fantastic things. But we also have great learning opportunities at Bierfest. It's an unusual event in the sense that you can learn so much about Pennsylvania's German brewing heritage, about the classic German styles. We even have a special VIP seminar. Those tickets are almost sold out there, that does a Pennsylvania beer and Pennsylvania cheese pairing experience. We're going to do a special spotlight on Pennsylvania's female brewers this year, because our special guest receiving an award at Bierfest is Carol Stout, the original founder of Stoud's Brewing in Adamstown, who, of course, was the first female brewmaster in the United States and the first craft brewer in Pennsylvania. So we're going to be doing a women's brewer discussion panel in the library. We have book signings, we have beer history exhibits, we have just everything. You name it, it's all going on at Bierfest.
My goodness, either you are a perfect advertiser for this organization, or you just are that. I mean, your excitement for this is just absolutely spilling through the camera. I can see it, I can hear it in your voice. And this is going to be my first time attending the event, so I'm really excited too. But after hearing that, my gosh, everybody should be excited. There's literally something for everybody. And I guess that's one question I would ask. What if somebody's watching this video and they're like, I'm not really a beer person, but at least it sounds like, what would you say to that person?
It's a great time. And we do have a lot of non-drinkers that want to attend Bierfest, and that's why we do have a beerless ticket that's available. And it's not just for the designated drivers, it's for anyone who's curious to see the building, feel the energy. We have games, feats of strength. We also have non-alcoholic options, not just those two Pennsylvania kombucha brewers who are going to be pouring in the PA Beer Hall, but we're actually debuting a new feature this year at Bierfest in the German Import Hall, which is what we call a no-low bar. So it's a bar that features only no alcohol, as in 0.00 proof, or extremely low, below 0.5% alcohol, so that people can explore what their options might be if there's a time when they don't want to be drinking traditional beer. So there are lots of options. And of course, the German Society is going to be selling Wurst sandwiches and sauerkraut. We've borrowed the raclette melters from the Christmas Village at City Hall. So we're going to be serving you puddles of melted raclette. There's so many, it's a wild, fun time. And I think even if you're not a beer person, you might still want to come check it out.
Sure. So we just want to share a couple photos and some images with you guys to give you a better visual as to all the great things that Marnie has already told us. This is the official flyer. I will be posting this on all my social media. Tells you a lot of information about the event. The date, first and foremost, we're so excited talking about all this, but it's coming up. It is the
Yeah.
24th of February. It's the last Saturday in February. And a couple more photos I'd love to share. And just real quick, I know that Marnie already mentioned this, but again, 25 PA craft brewers, over 25 German beers, German and PA themed entertainment. That cheese cave, you guys know I'm a huge cheese person, so that might be my first stop so I can get it before everybody else eats it all away. Cider bar and these educational opportunities. And you mentioned Carol Stout. Carol Stout's a good old Pennsylvania Dutch girl, and
Mhm.
I love the stuff she made. It was just phenomenal beers. So I'm really glad to hear that she's being recognized by the organization and given this award, because she is top notch, absolutely top notch. There's tons of stuff, guys. Some photos also from inside of previous events in the past. Marnie, I'll let you kind of talk a little bit to explain what we're seeing here.
Oh, sure. Well, this is a shot of the VIP seminar in a past year. This is the one that this year is going to be us. We're welcoming, I always teach the VIP seminar, but I usually have a different guest and we tag team. This year, my guest is Tanaya Darlington, who some people may know as the former cheese. She's known as Madame Fromage online. She was the cheese queen at Tria's bars and restaurants for a number of years, but is now independent and just published her newest book, which is called Adventures in Cheese. She is going to be leading the cheese part, and I'll be leading the beer part of a beer and cheese pairing seminar that will happen in this incredible space. What you're seeing there is the Horner Memorial Library on the top floor of the German Society's building at 7th and Spring Garden. And as you can see, it's one of those gorgeous two-tiered mezzanine style, like overlook type libraries. And I have to tell you, many of your readers may actually find this to be the most interesting space in the whole German Society, because this,
Yeah.
what you're looking at right here, this is the largest collection of books in the German language in private hands outside of Europe. It is an extraordinary research library. Only twice a year does the library, which is its own separate nonprofit, give the German Society permission to serve food and drink inside the library, because as you can imagine, it's not very good for the books to have beer spilt on the floor or anything like that. So we're very careful. But we are going to have all of our beer learning activities on this floor, which we renamed the Bierfest Academy for the day. It's going to be
Okay.
hosted by Otto's Tavern, Otto's Tap Room, which is a, if you haven't checked out Otto's, you should go there while you're in town. It's in Brewery Town, where all the brewers used to be in Philadelphia back when we were the brewing center of the United States. And over 100 of the brewery buildings and beer production buildings, like ice houses that were built in Philadelphia, were designed by one architect whose name was Otto Wolff. And Otto's Tap Room is homage to him. Only stuff they serve at Otto's is European and German style beers that are made within the city limits of Philadelphia. So they're a
That's
very,
great.
Beer Fest inspired type of a restaurant. So they're going to be hosting this space. And after the VIP seminar, we're going to shift into book signings and a beer history exhibit with the leading historian of Pennsylvania brewing, which is Richard Wagner. He's going to be showing kind of a silent PowerPoint loop of his academic presentation that he gives at universities, but people can sit and enjoy beer poured into their glasses while they're up in this lounge. They can look at his books and possibly buy a signed copy. We also have two other authors who are going to be doing book signings, Tanaya Darlington, as I mentioned, and Tara Nurin, who just recently published a book called A Woman's Place is in the Brew House, that looks back at the role of women in brewing, actually the central role, the dominant role in brewing, especially through medieval times.
Yeah. Yep.
Women, because it was something that happened in the kitchen. It was a foodstuff. It was a staple. And so she's a fascinating lecturer as well. And she's the one who's going to be moderating at the end of the day after the book signings. This space will convert to a Pennsylvania Brewers discussion panel where we have a highlight. We just have an incredible array, not just Carol Stout, but we also have female brewers from, I think, Pagoda City in Reading, for example. We have
Mm-hmm.
Irina, we have Laura Lacey coming from Attic Brewery. We even have the organizer of our new Nolo bar, who's a former brewer, who is going to be talking about how Pennsylvania has an opportunity for leadership in the no alcohol and low alcohol brewing space. So it's going to be really fascinating stuff.
Absolutely. I've been in this space here before when we showed our documentary, when the German Society showed our documentary, and It's a magical space. It's like something out of a movie, for a lot of
Mhm,
people. If you get the chance to go, absolutely check out that space. With some pictures from past events, you can see there's
mhm.
sometimes people in traditional, Bavarian style lederhosen and dirndl and all
Oh,
that good
oh,
stuff.
yes. If you've been trying to find the occasion to bust those things out, whether it's your dirndl, whether it's your lederhosen, even if it's just a hat with a very jaunty Bavarian feather in it, please do. You will see a lot of that at Beerfest.
An example of one of the brewers, a Pennsylvania brewer, Trogs, of course, from Hershey,
Yeah.
well-known brewer,
We are
one of my favorites.
super excited about Troeg's participation this year. Not only are they one of the legacy brewers that
Yeah.
inspired us to do this event in the first place, but we, weather permitting, as long as we have a nice day, and generally in the past, we've only had one Beer Fest blizzard where we couldn't use the outdoor space. But we are going to be doing a special fire pit activity with Troeg's. It's called in Bavaria, they call it Bierstackeln, where
No,
you take a red hot poker and plunge it into a multi. We're going to take Troegenator and do the red hot poker trick to caramelize those sugars and let people taste that change.
I have done that in Germany. I've had the opportunity to experience that. It's pretty cool. It's
It's,
really
it's
cool,
fun.
actually.
Yeah.
And as you can see in this photo, a lot of smiles. The people are
Oh, yeah.
enjoying themselves. A shot from one of the looks like a bluegrass band,
Yeah.
string band that has played in the
Exactly.
past. So that's,
Mhm,
of course, great Pennsylvania style
mhm.
Appalachian music. And there is the outdoor space, of course,
Right.
weather permitting, as Marnie said, where you
Yeah.
can be outside.
Oh,
Hopefully, man, today would be a great day. The sun is
today would be a
shining here
beautiful
at
day
my
to be
house.
outside.
Yeah,
And
it
let's
would.
we have we have a DJ out there, we have a fire pit out there, but some of your audience might have particular interest in an art installation that is located in this space at the German Society. It is one of the only pieces of the Berlin Wall that is in the United States, mounted and perfectly preserved. It's just a gorgeous testament to
Yeah.
so much of the history behind this group. And of course, if I didn't mention it earlier, the German Society of PA actually is older than the United States. It was founded in 1767, I want to say.
Yeah.
This organization is the oldest cultural organization in the United States and the largest German one.
Yep, absolutely. And they have some awesome stuff to see. I would invite
Mhm.
anyone that if you can't make it to the beer fest, you should check out the German Society of Pennsylvania. If you're ever in the Philadelphia region, you really should go check it out. They have some really cool stuff and spaces to see. And just
Yeah,
real
and
quick to
hosting
remind
language
everybody,
classes for parents who might want their kids to learn German. There's a great language classes opportunities for both children and adults through the German Society as well.
so you will need a ticket to get into the event. And as Marnie already mentioned, there's a couple different levels. There's the general admission, $59, VIP, but you say that's probably going to sell out pretty fast.
Well, the whole event, if it's not predicting blizzard storms, this whole event is
Uh-huh.
probably going to sell out maybe 4 or 5 days before the event. So definitely, if you would like to come and reserve your place, now is the time to do that. We've already sold more than half of the tickets that are available, and it's
Oh my
only a
goodness.
matter
Okay.
of time before those are completely depleted.
So if you are interested and you'd like to get your own ticket, of course, you can visit www.phillybierfest.org, and I'll put a link to that in the show notes down below on the YouTube channel so that you can click right there and learn more and also purchase tickets if you're interested. And notice there is that $35 ticket for people that are the beerless admission, non-drinkers, DDs,
Mhm.
etc. if you have kids over 12. I am super excited, Marnie, to be there. I'm hoping the weather will permit everything to go off without any issues. The 24th of February, everybody. Mark your calendars. And if you can't make it this year, this is the 11th annual. So I would imagine, if you miss it this year, next year will be the 12th annual, and
Well,
you
and
can
I can
check
even
that
tell
out.
you, if you're heartbroken that you already have plans on the 24th, you can go ahead and schedule us in next year because Beerfest is always the last Saturday in February. And that means that next year our date is 2/22/25.
Oh, 2/22, George Washington's birthday. There we go.
Mhm.
Perfect. Well, Marnie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. I'm glad that we're able to promote this great opportunity for people, this great event. And I'm glad that the German Society of Pennsylvania continues to be a supporter of what we are doing here at the channel, and we'll continue to promote their stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing you and meeting you personally
Mhm.
on the 24th in Philly at the Beer Fest. And if any of my viewers end up showing up, well, you got to come and say hi to me. And if you see Marnie, you can say, hey, I saw you on Doug's channel, and then, make these connections.
Absolutely.
So
And
we are.
you have to permit me. I know that we're on an Ask a PA Dutch Guy podcast. So I just have to take the opportunity, if you don't mind. I stand in front of rooms of people teaching about wine, teaching about beer, teaching about spirits and cocktails all over the place. And I do always try to pronounce things properly. And
Mhm.
I want to know, you've been saying PA Dutch. Is it PA Dutch or PA Deutsch?
Oh, it's PA Dutch. No, because we are different. Yeah, the people watching this channel right away were like, "Oh, tell her, Doug, tell her." So we could be the Pennsylvania Dutch, and you're not, Marnie. So this is a great
Mhm,
educational opportunity. So when we refer to ourselves as the Pennsylvania Dutch, that's because that's what we were referred to by the
mhm.
English in the port of Philadelphia
Yeah.
as we got off the boats in the
Mhm.
16 and 1700s,
Yeah.
and the term stuck. Dutch at that time period meant something different in English than what it does
Mhm.
today. The Netherlands wasn't really established as a country. Germany wasn't established as a country. And
Right.
Dutch referred to anything or any person coming from Germanic Europe in that era's English.
Right.
So, of course, they were the Quakers were, of course, in charge, and they were the ones that were, right, documenting everything as we got
Mhm.
off the boats. And the term was used because that was what was said at the time. There was no German yet in the
Mhm.
sense that we know it today. And
Right.
that was the label that was given to us 300 years ago. And we are a very we're a stubborn people, and we like to if something is a certain way, we're very German in that sense because we are German descendants. So we've always used that term. And it's stuck for 300 years. Sometimes people will refer to us as Pennsylvania Germans as well, and
Mhm.
that's fine. But yeah, we are the Pennsylvania Dutch. We had the very first organization was founded right there in Germantown. Was founded by Daniel Pastorius, and those were all
Sure.
Pennsylvania Dutch people coming from the
Mhm.
Rhine River Valley of Germany in the
Yeah.
1600s and into the 1700s.
Yeah,
So
and I
there you
love the
go.
fact there's another great Pastorius in beer history as well. Karlstad was the first PA craft brewer, but the very next one, a couple months later, to be established was Penn Brewery in Pittsburgh,
Yep.
and of course, their brewer and owner's last name was, you guessed it, Pastorius.
I wasn't aware of that, actually. I didn't know that. That's great. That's a cool little bit of trivia there. Well, Marnie, thanks again for coming on. Can't wait to see you on the 24th. This is going to be an awesome event, everybody. Like we said, if you can't make it this year, we already know the date for next year, the last Saturday in February. So mark your calendars, especially if you're a beer person. This is an event that you don't want to miss. Sounds like if you're a cheese person too, you don't want to miss this event. So check out
Absolutely.
www.phillybierfest.org to get more information and to purchase your tickets ahead of time, because I probably won't get them at the door. I'm sure, as Marnie said, they'll probably be sold out. So in a couple of weeks, we'll all be hoisting our steins and having a good time in Philadelphia. I wish you all the best with the event, Marnie. I'm sure it's going to be an awesome turnout, and it's going to be a huge success. And for all of those organizations that are also going to profit from it, it's going to be great for them as well. So I'll see you in a couple of weeks, and I can't wait.
Lovely to meet you.
Lovely to meet you too. As we say in German, we'll use the German here. Here's another word for you to
Yeah.
learn. Tschüss. Tschüss is
Cheers.
a common way of saying goodbye. Yep, in German.
Okay. Well, we'll
There
have
you
to
go.
adopt that for that weekend at least. Cheers.
Sounds good. Tschüss, Marty. Hey, everybody. You don't want to beat that. You can't beat that. You don't want to beat that. You can't beat that. Mark your calendars. If you're going to come out, that'd be great. And definitely, if you're there and you see me, I'll be walking around with a camera, and we're going to be shooting stuff for the YouTube channel. Please stop and say hello and have a good time, because I think there's no way that you can't have a good time at an event like this. So I look forward to seeing you guys there on the 24th of February at the Philly Bierfest. And if it's not this year, hopefully next year. Till next time, dear friends, keep practicing your Pennsylvania Dutch, and Max gut.